Newton's third law states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So, for every force that there is a reaction force that is equal in size but opposite in direction. That is to say that whenever an object pushes another object, it gets pushed back in the opposite direction equally hard. To show you how this applies, I have a red tubing thing and a pole. If I were to swing this tube at the pole with a force of, to say, 15 newtons, the pole would equally push back with the same amount of force onto the tubing. So you may think that's not possible because the tube is applying most of the force to the pole, or all of the force. And while you're correct in that perspective, the pole also pushes back with the same amount of force that is being applied to it, just in opposite directions. So if I swung like this, and if I swung like this, the tube hit the pole with a force of 15 newtons. The pole also swung back with the same force of 15 newtons, which stopped the tube from going any farther than it did. If I were to apply more force though, the pole would apply the same amount of force back onto the tube. So, even though the pole is not applying the force, it's indirectly applying the force, just in its opposite way. So, if you were to swing it really hard, you may think, well, what's going to break, the pole or the red tubing? If the red tubing were a wooden stick, the wooden stick would break, and that would be obvious why it would break. Even though it would break, and you would think that it's applying the force, so whatever it hits should break, that's not necessarily true. So because it's getting hit, if you hit something brittle onto something hard, the brittle thing will break, even though it's the one that's directly applying the force. This tells you that the object that it hits is indirectly applying the force, which tells you that Newton's third law is correct.